Normally, it's hard to get excited with MPVs, but if there's one brand that has made the name for itself in that segment, that's Hyundai. I mean, think about it. They have models that, like the Staria, of course, that was the Starix before, and of course, the Stargazer. Now, while other brands are doubling down and increasing their SUV lineup, Hyundai has gone the opposite. They're leveraging on that and introducing more people carriers this time around. This is the Hyundai Custin. I'm Yuli Ang, this is the CarGuide.PH, and this is my take on this MPV. Let's admit it, designing an MPV is hard. Now, after all, it's a function over form design language, but I have to say, Hyundai has made it work. If you're not aware, the proportions of the Custin would put this in between the Staria and the Stargazer, that would put it right smack in the middle. In terms of packaging, it's about similar to Toyota Innova or the GAC GN6. But the closest that this car would be to the now defunct Honda Odyssey. In terms of design, it gets the same sort of Hyundai design language we've seen thus far. You get things like the parametric dual headlights and grille right here. These are actually the DRLs, cleverly hidden right here. Aggressive looking front fascia with the LED headlights. Now here in the side, the same parametric elements are found, cleverly hidden in things like the side view mirror indicators right here, the running boards right there, and even the door handles. So again, Hyundai has pretty much maximized what they could do with the Custin's design, given that again, it's all about function rather than form. Towards the back, you also get a power tailgate. And if I only have one little thing that I don't like about this car, and I'll show you right now, it's actually this one. The badging of the Custin and the 1.5 T here looks like they just plucked it out of a Lazada catalog. Now, it's a minor thing, but it sort of reduces the premium look and feel of the Custin's exterior. The inspiration for the interior is supposed to be like an aircraft's first-class cabin, and in that regard, I think the Custin has nailed it. You would have to see that I like the way they've actually done the light colored elements, the wood grain paneling right here, and of course the careful use of piano black accents and chrome. It gives it an airy and yet sophisticated look and feel to the cabin. If I have some criticisms or complaints about the interior, it would be the choice of materials. I like the look of it, but once you start touching it, it's all about hard plastics, and again, for about the 2 million peso MPV, it's a bit disappointing. Now, the low cowl gives it an airy feel, but unfortunately, it also compromises a bit in terms of the legibility of the gauges. Now, Hyundai has always liked playing around with how the gauges look, but for this time, it's very clear that they've compacted everything they could in this narrow space right here. And that's a problem because things like the speedometer, it's almost close to unreadable. In fact, if you were to look at it carefully, the increments of the speed would change from, let's say, the first part being in 10-kilometer intervals to 20, and as you go up, it's 30. It's kind of weird, and of course, as a bit of an OC person myself, something that they could have done better. Now, thankfully, there are digital speedometer and a digital tach right here, so at least that kind of helps looking at the gauges at a glance. Another thing I don't like is the reliance of the touchscreen. Now, the tablet-style touchscreen here is great in theory, but in principle, there are a couple of issues right here. First of all, it takes time to boot up. And when it does, nothing is operable in this system. So for example, you're coming from a hot day and it's a hot car, you want to turn on the air conditioning. This thing won't turn on until about 5 to 10 seconds, and that's an eternity when you're talking about Manila's midday heat. That aside, of course, it's kind of hard to really navigate this because there's a lot of things that you have to touch around and go around, and it doesn't help that the buttons right here are capacitive, which means there are no indentations, making it hard to actually push on the go. That aside, at least it gets Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So for fans who use their phones as their navigation or communication device, at least it helps right there. There's also a wireless charging pad right here, and it's also vented so it doesn't keep your devices hot. That's another great thing. And of course, it has this another controversial aspect would be the shifter. It's a push button shifter that was found in the previous Tucson. Now, what may be a complaint in terms of pictures, in terms of usability, it's easier than the Tucson because Hyundai has actually increased the way that this center console has been raised up. So because the center console is raised up, navigating these buttons would actually be easier than they would in the Tucson. Now, if you're looking for things like vented seats or heated seats, or even a telescopic steering wheel, you don't have it right here in the Custin. I would have to think it's because this car is designed more as a chauffeur-driven car, so most of the fancy stuff is actually in the second row. Now, despite the ground clearance, which is about 170 mm, as you can see, it is actually easy for you to get in and out of the Custin. So again, kids and geriatrics will find it easy to actually access this vehicle. Of course, you saw that's a power sliding door. That's again for both sides. And see, what did I tell you? All the features are right here in the second row. There's a sunshade right here. So in case you don't want to be seen or you don't like being hit by the rays of the sun. You also get a 2-panel panoramic sunroof. So there's one in the front and the bigger one actually right here at the back. You even get things like a picnic table right here. So you can actually put things like, well, if you're a fan of like eating small meals like from the drive-through or whatever, and it even integrates a cup holder. So that's another nifty feature. Now, again, as I was telling you, most of the features are right here in the second row, and actually you'll find that in the seats themselves because you actually get ventilation and heating for the second row, and the controls are right here. There's even a wireless charging pad right here in the center, USB ports, and get this, just like the other Hyundai models like the Staria, this one also has what they call a relaxation mode for the seats. With one touch of a button, it's supposed to make the seats go down to alleviate pressure points in the body, and that's supposed to simulate the feeling of zero gravity. Now, I haven't been to space myself, but being able to relax in traffic should be something that a lot of people of you out there would like. So while it's clear that for the Custin, the second row is actually the best seats in the house, there are some compromises made to do that in terms of packaging. For example, if I were to try to recline the seats all the way back and the third row is folded down, it will kind of hit each other. So that means you will not be able to recline the seats fully. Another thing that is, you could say, a problem with this is getting to the third row itself. This is actually the only way for you to get to the third row. And so as you can see, it's kind of tight. I mean, if I were a bit bigger, I'll find it kind of hard to get into. But once you access the third row, the space is actually very livable. It's a bit of a flat floor here, so my knees are actually not scrunched up. And in terms of headroom, because of the panoramic sunroof panel, you would say it's livable. It's not exactly generous, but it's actually quite livable. And of course, in terms of creature comfort features, you get your own air conditioning system right here, cup holders, and seat belts for at least 2 passengers right here at the back. Further still, we're gonna take a look at the trunk space, and I wouldn't have to say that it is quite livable for maybe a bit of groceries and what have you. But of course, if you want to put things like luggage, the third row seat would have to go down. Now, curiously, Hyundai has made the packaging of the third row quite different. Now, normally, you would get a 50-50 split right here. But because this is a 3-seater right here at the back, the split is actually 60-40. That would mean that you can put 2 people beside each other. I mean, okay, it's a bit cramped, but you can put 2 people right beside each other and still put luggage right here. So make of that as you will, but for me, that unique packaging makes the interior a bit more flexible compared to your regular MPV. Further still, when it comes to cargo space, I would have to say that the Custin does have a livable cargo space. As you can see, the third row right here is up, and you can still fit like duffel bags and a couple of knickknacks. Now, of course, if you're gonna do groceries, this is still quite livable. Now, if you need to put things like luggage or balikbayan boxes, you will have to tumble, of course, the third row. Now, unique to the Custin, I would have to say, at least in its segment, is the division of the third row itself. Normally, you would get a 50-50 split right here, but for this one, it's actually a 60-40 split. And this is actually quite ingenious because even if I drop the seats right here, that means you can still put two passengers scrounged up right here. I mean, it might be a bit tight, but hey, at least you can still put two people and luggage right here. So again, flexibility is one of the key strengths of the Custin. When it comes to driving in an MPV, I'm sure your standards are not pretty high, but when it comes to the Custin, the Hyundai's pretty much nailed it in the sense that it drives like a passenger car. The steering's well weighted, the driving behavior is stable, it's comfortable. The suspension is a bit soft, and that's a given because it's all about comfort. MPVs are all about comfort. It's designed to ferry 8 people, so again, it doesn't have to be a canyon carver. It isn't designed to like corner as fast as possible and all that. So in that regard, Hyundai's nailed it. Powering the Custin, as typical of any other model that's sourced from China, it's a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine, but instead of a DCT, Hyundai's decided to put in an 8-speed automatic. Now, on paper, it sounds pretty okay, but in reality, it's just all right. It's not exactly, again, it's not exactly fast, but I guess one of the letdowns, it's not exactly economical either. In terms of technology, Hyundai put in what they call the continuously variable valve duration, or CVVD technology, and in theory, it's supposed to make the valves open or close to make sure that the engine is running at its optimal. Here, it's pretty clear when you drive the Custin, it's very reliant on the turbocharger to give it that thrust. So you were talking about around 7 kilometers in the city, which I guess it's all right when you're carrying like your entire family all the time. But if you're considering that this car could be used just by one person, 7 kilometers can be a bit painful. The automatic transmission, while it's all right when you're traveling at slow speeds, it does tend to hunt when you're going uphill. And I guess the ratios are designed mostly to keep the revs down, so it's more economical on the highway. But as it stands, the engine could use a bit more thrust or a bit more economy, but in its current form, it provides neither. Again, it's adequate, but not spectacular. And I guess you could say that it's a bit of a shame because you know that the platform could deliver much more. Hyundai could pretty much put in a larger engine or even maybe a hybrid in this vehicle, and that would make it more of a game changer. Now, top of the line Custin does come with Hyundai SmartSense ADAS technology and for forward collision warning, blind spot indicators, and what have you. Overall, the tuning is par for the course for Hyundai, so it makes the car a bit more safer, especially for drivers who are not too accustomed to driving a vehicle this big. And of course, for those of you who plan to use the Custin as their family car, it provides a layer of safety that probably you would find not much in the segment would do. By and large, the Custin is able to accomplish what it sets out to do, and that would mean a bridge between the small MPVs and the large MPVs. For those of you who find the small MPVs just too small and the large MPVs just too cumbersome, the Custin is the right size and choice for you. Now, add to that its price point, and now you get features that are normally reserved for luxury MPVs at the friendlier price point and budget. That would mean features like vented seats, a panoramic sunroof, and all that are now more attainable and are not just reserved for the CEOs and CFOs. Well-wearing and tired executives can now have a good choice in its segment, and that would mean that the Custin is worth your consideration.